Daniel never expected to be home before sunrise. His flight had been moved ahead at the last minute, and he didn't bother telling anyone. After days of meetings, airports, delays, and restless sleep, he just wanted silence. He imagined walking into his house, dropping his bags, and breathing for the first time in a week. But as the taxi stopped in front of his driveway, he saw lights glowing through the windows. It was confusing at first. He always left everything off before traveling. Then he heard its sharp bangs, heavy footsteps, and voices shouting instructions. The noise was so loud it cut through the early morning calm and stopped him where he stood. He walked up the steps slowly, unsure if he was imagining things from exhaustion. But the closer he got, the clearer the chaos became. A drill buzzed non-stop. Something fell and crashed inside. Someone laughed like this was all normal. His heart began to pound, not in fear but in disbelief. He unlocked the door and pushed it open. The moment he stepped inside, the breath left his body. His home looked nothing like it had when he left. The living room had been stripped down to bare floors. Boxes filled the space where his couch used to sit. Paint buckets stood in the corner, their lids tossed aside. The shelves he built years ago, gone. The photos that once hung on the wall missing. A thick layer of dust floated in the air. Strangers walked around with tools, barely glancing at him as if they owned the place. Daniel felt his stomach twist. This was his sanctuary, the place he had worked so hard to earn, and someone had torn it apart without asking. Then he saw her daughter Claire stood near the window, holding a clipboard, her hair tied up, her clothes splattered with paint. She looked nothing like the calm sister he remembered. She looked like a project manager in the middle of a war zone. When she turned and saw him, her expression froze. Her mouth parted in shock, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. The workers continued moving around them, unaware of the explosion waiting to happen. "Daniel," she finally said, "You're back." He didn't answer immediately. He felt like a stranger in his own home, like someone had taken his life apart and rearranged it in a way he didn't understand. He stared at her, searching for an explanation, something that made sense. But all he found was frustration rising in his chest. "What is this?" he asked quietly. She tried to smile, but it trembled. "I was renovating. You weren't supposed to be home yet." He looked around again, trying to absorb the mess. "Renovating? Without asking me?" She sighed as if she had expected this reaction, but hoped she wouldn't have to face it. "Daniel, you've been gone all the time. This place needed a change. It felt old. You keep everything the same for years. I wanted to help you." He blinked hard. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Help me? By tearing apart my house?" She stepped toward him, but he took a step back. She noticed, and her expression tightened. "I didn't tear anything apart. I'm improving it. You'll thank me when it's done." Her confidence only fueled his anger. He wasn't someone who reacted quickly. He usually thought things through, stayed calm, took time before speaking. But now, for the first time in a long time, his emotions moved faster than his thoughts. He wanted to shout, but the words felt stuck. He looked at the tiles stacked near the hallway, the new cabinets leaning against the wall, the paint streaks across the floor. Every detail screamed of decisions made without him. His home had been a place he could control, a place that stayed the way he left it. But now everything felt unfamiliar. He felt like the ground under his feet had shifted without warning. "Why didn't you talk to me first?" he asked. "I knew you'd say no," she replied softly. Her honesty hit him harder than any lie could have. She had made a choice based on what she assumed, not on what he wanted. And somehow, she felt justified. The workers continued walking past them, unaware of the emotional storm unfolding. Drills continued buzzing. Voices echoed through the hallway. But all Daniel heard was his sister's voice and the painful truth behind it. He didn't even know where to look anymore. Everywhere his eyes landed reminded him that a boundary had been crossed. Claire wasn't malicious. She wasn't cruel. But she had taken control of something that wasn't hers. And she had done it with confidence, without hesitation, convinced she was doing the right thing. He pressed a hand to his forehead. "Claire, this is my home. And I want it to be better for you," she insisted. Her voice cracked, revealing the worry underneath her boldness. But that didn't soften the blow. It only added confusion. Her intentions didn't erase the violation. Her goal didn't change the fact that she had acted without permission. For years she had pushed him, tried to guide him, tried to fix things she believed he ignored. But this time she went too far. The anger curling in his chest wasn't the loud kind. It was quiet, deep and sharp. It was the kind that stayed long after the moment passed. It felt like betrayal, not the dramatic kind that ruins families, but the small, personal kind that cuts deeper, because it comes from someone you trust. He stepped back, letting the weight of it all settle. Claire watched him carefully, her face shifting between strength and guilt. She didn't apologize. She didn't admit she was wrong. She waited for him to calm down, as if this explosion would pass like every argument before. But this was different. This wasn't about a disagreement. This wasn't about opinions. This was about respect, something he didn't feel in this moment. "I need some air," he murmured, walking past her. She didn't follow. Maybe she finally realized how serious the situation was. Outside, the morning was still quiet, as if the world had no idea what was happening inside his home. Daniel sat on the steps, hands trembling. He wasn't someone who held grudges, but he felt something new rising inside him. A desire to make her understand what she had done. A desire to show her how it felt to lose control of something personal. A desire for payback, not out of cruelty, but out of pain. He had never felt that before. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do. He wasn't sure how far he would go. But the seed of revenge had already been planted, small and silent, but very real. And in that moment, part of him didn't want to stop it. Daniel tried to tell himself he was overreacting. He tried to believe that the frustration would fade once he calmed down. But every time he walked through the house, the anger returned like a shadow that refused to leave. The workers came early, every morning, filling the place with noise and movement, and he felt trapped in a home that no longer felt like his. He wasn't used to so many strangers around. He wasn't used to walking through his own hallway and seeing walls torn apart or flooring ripped up. Everything reminded him that a choice had been made for him without his voice. Claire acted like everything was normal. She stood with the workers, explained plans, moved things around, and behaved as though this project was something they had agreed on together. She tried to show him color samples, tile patterns, and new layouts, but he felt nothing but distance. She spoke with excitement, but he answered with short nods and silence. She tried to make him feel included, but the damage had already been done. Every suggestion she made felt like a reminder that she had taken control of something he valued deeply. One evening, after the workers left, Daniel walked into the kitchen hoping for a moment of quiet. But even there, he saw pieces of unfinished work tools on the counter, sheets of plastic taped to the walls, and new cabinets standing uninstalled. The space felt disorganized and unfamiliar. He leaned against the table, exhaling slowly, trying to steady his thoughts. He didn't want to be angry forever. He didn't want to hold on to resentment. But the anger clung to him like a weight he couldn't shake off. Claire walked in, holding a notebook. She didn't smile this time. Her face showed concern, something softer than what she had shown in the beginning. You didn't talk much today, she said. He stared at the notebook in her hands, imagining all the plans she had written inside. I didn't have much to say. She took a step closer. I know you're upset. I know you think I crossed a line. He raised his eyes. You didn't think I needed to decide anything for myself. She hesitated. I didn't think you would ever do it. Daniel swallowed. That wasn't your decision to make. Her expression changed, no defensive tone, no forced confidence, only guilt. For a moment the tension softened, but it didn't disappear. He needed more than an apology. He needed understanding. He needed her to see what she had taken from him. I wanted to help you, she said again, but this time her voice was low, almost tired. You've been running from place to place for years. You never stop. You never take time for yourself. I thought maybe a fresh start would make you slow down, make you breathe. I didn't want you to come home to the same empty rooms after another long trip. He listened, but he didn't feel better. Her reasons were emotional, meaningful even, but they didn't change the truth she made decisions about his life without him. She believed her judgment was better than his. That belief stung more than the renovation itself. Later that night, he lay awake staring at the ceiling of the spare room. The house felt too bright, too loud even when it was silent. Every sound reminded him of workers returning the next morning. Every breath reminded him that he had lost control of something personal. He replayed the moment he first walked in, the shock, the confusion, the sudden feeling of betrayal. He felt it again so clearly that it almost made him sit up. He thought about revenge. Not extreme revenge. Not something harmful. Just something that would make her understand how much this hurt him. He thought about going to her apartment while she was at work and making changes without asking. He pictured switching her furniture around, repainting her walls, reorganizing her things. She would come home shocked. She would feel violated. She would finally understand. The thought brought a strange, quiet satisfaction. But then another feeling followed: doubt. He imagined her face, the confusion, the hurt, the fear of losing control. He didn't want to cause her real pain. He only wanted her to feel what he felt. That her choices mattered to him, that her actions held consequences, that he wasn't invisible in his own life. Still, the idea stayed with him like a small flame that refused to die. The next morning, Claire came into the kitchen carrying 2 cups of tea. She placed one near him and sat across the table. She didn't speak right away. She looked tired, the kind of tired that wasn't caused by work but by worry. I know you're angry, she said. And I know I did this the wrong way. But can we talk? He didn't look at her. Talking doesn't change what's already done, but it can help us understand each other, she said quietly. I didn't mean to hurt you. He exhaled. But you did. She nodded slowly. I know. Silence settled between them. He stared at his tea, not drinking it. She stared at her hands. The house around them was still unfinished, half painted, half built, full of signs that the renovation wasn't over. He wondered how long this would continue, how long he would feel this way, how long it would take for things to feel normal again, if they ever did. Later that day, the workers returned. Claire gave them instructions, but her voice lacked the confidence she once had. Daniel watched her from the hallway. She looked conflicted, unsure of her actions, aware of the damage she caused. For a moment he felt sympathy. She had wanted to help. She had made a terrible mistake, but she wasn't proud of it anymore. She wasn't pretending to be right. She was trying to fix what she had broken, but sympathy didn't erase his frustration. It didn't heal the breach of trust. It didn't remove the thought of revenge that kept creeping into his mind. As the days passed, the house began to take shape. Walls were painted, floors installed, shelves built. Claire tried to involve him in decisions, but he couldn't bring himself to care. Every choice felt like a reminder of the choices she had taken away from him. Every suggestion she offered felt like an apology wrapped in enthusiasm. One evening, he found her standing alone in the living room, staring at the newly finished wall. She held a tile in her hand, flipping it back and forth nervously. She didn't hear him walk in until he cleared his throat. She looked up quickly. "Do you want this pattern for the kitchen?" she asked, her voice uncertain. He didn't answer right away. He watched her, seeing the tension in her shoulders, the worry in her eyes. She wasn't as sure of herself as before. She wasn't the confident leader of a renovation project anymore. She was someone trying to repair a relationship she had damaged without meaning to. "I thought you knew what I needed," he said quietly. Her eyes softened. "I thought I did." For the first time, her voice held real regret. Not just guilt. Not just an attempt to fix things, but understanding. He nodded slowly, then walked away. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know how to move forward. He didn't know if revenge would make him feel better, or make things worse. But the conflict inside him kept growing, pulling him in two directions. One side wanted to hurt her the way she hurt him. The other wanted to forgive her but didn't know how. He wasn't ready to choose. And the longer he waited, the stronger the tension grew between them. Inside him, and in the unfinished house that now carried the weight of everything unspoken. Daniel stood in the hallway on the final day of the renovation, watching the workers pack up their tools. The noise that had controlled his home for weeks finally began to fade. Step by step, the house returned to silence. But inside him, the storm had not settled. Claire stood near the front door, thanking the workers, trying to look calm. But he could see her nerves, her hands tightening around the strap of her bag, her eyes avoiding his. She sensed something was coming. She sensed he was reaching a breaking point. When the last worker left, the house felt strangely empty, as if every sound had been sucked out all at once. Claire stayed by the door, waiting for him to speak. Daniel walked through the living room slowly, trying to process what he felt. The walls were freshly painted. The floors gleamed. The furniture was new. Everything was bright, modern, tidy. It looked like a place someone could love, just not him, not yet. He didn't feel connected to any of it. He felt like he was touring a stranger's home. Claire finally broke the silence. "Daniel, please say something." He kept walking. He ran a hand along the back of the new couch, then the smooth surface of the shelves she had installed. Everything was different. Everything was chosen without him. Everything reminded him of the choice she had taken away. He turned toward her, his voice calm but heavy. "You changed my entire home." She swallowed. "I know. You made every decision. You didn't ask. You didn't trust me with my own life." She lowered her eyes. "I thought I was helping you." He took a step closer. "Helping me isn't the same as replacing my voice." Her breath trembled and she finally looked at him. "I never meant to hurt you." Daniel felt the anger rise again. It wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive. It was quiet and steady, like a weight pressing into his chest. For weeks he had held on to the thought of revenge, imagining ways to make her feel what he felt. He imagined going to her apartment, rearranging everything, leaving her shocked and helpless. He imagined calling people to tear apart her space while she wasn't home. He imagined standing there waiting for her reaction, just as she had stood waiting for his. He wasn't someone who liked conflict, but he wanted her to stand. He wanted her to feel the same mix of shock, betrayal, and loss. Claire stepped forward, studying his face carefully. "You're thinking something," she said. "Something you're not saying." He didn't deny it. "I thought about doing the same thing to you." Her eyes widened and he saw fear not of him, but of the idea. My apartment. Yes, he said. I wanted you to come home and see everything different. To feel what I felt. To understand. She didn't speak. Her silence said everything. She understood more in that moment than she had through all their conversations. Daniel walked toward the window, staring at the new curtains she hung. He spoke quietly, not looking at her. I wanted revenge, Claire. For the first time in my life, I wanted someone I loved to feel hurt. Her voice cracked. Daniel, I'm sorry. He nodded, still facing the window. I know you are. But it doesn't make the feelings disappear. She took a slow step toward him. Then take it out on me. If that's what you need to forgive me, then do it. I'll accept it. He turned around quickly, surprised. She stood with her hands by her sides, her expression open, brave in a way that didn't look like pride. It looked like acceptance. She wasn't challenging him. She wasn't arguing. She was ready for whatever he chose. And that made something inside him shift. He imagined actually going through with revenge. He imagined her walking into her apartment and seeing everything change. He imagined her hands shaking, her breath catching, a tear slipping down her face. He imagined the pain he would cause Dot, and suddenly, the idea didn't feel like victory anymore. It felt like breaking something fragile, something that could never be repaired. She took another small step toward him. You can do to me what I did to you. I won't fight back. He shook his head. That's not who I am. She looked down. I never wanted to turn you into someone else. For the first time in weeks, Daniel felt his anger loosen. Not disappear. Not fade completely. But loosen enough for him to breathe. Enough to see her without the fog of frustration blinding him. He walked past her and sat on the edge of the couch, running his hand over the fabric. Claire moved slowly, sitting on the opposite chair, giving him space. They sat in silence for a long moment, the newness of the room surrounding them like an unfinished story. Daniel finally spoke. The house looks nice. I see the work. I see the effort. I see the care. But I don't feel at home yet. Claire nodded. I understand. You made choices for me, he said. That they weren't about the house. They were about control. You tried to push me into a life you thought would be better. I know, she whispered. He looked at her, not angry now, just tired. You tried to fix me instead of talking to me. Her eyes filled with emotion. I thought I was helping. He sighed. Sometimes helping means waiting, listening, asking. She wiped her eyes. You're right. Daniel leaned back. The room felt brighter than before, but not because of the renovation. Something else had changed. Something between them. He felt the pull of revenge again, like a final test. He could still do it. He could still choose anger. But sitting there, looking at her, he felt something deeper than frustration. He felt the desire to move forward. He shook his head. I'm not going to hurt you, Claire. She looked up quickly. You're not? No, he said. Revenge won't make anything better. It won't give me back what I lost. It won't fix trust. Her breath left her in relief. Thank you. I'm still upset, he admitted. But I don't want to add more damage. I want to understand and move on. Claire nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. I want the same. Daniel took one final look around the living room. This time, it didn't feel like a stranger's home. It still didn't feel fully his, but it wasn't foreign anymore. It felt like something he could learn to accept, adapt to, and reshape slowly. He stood up. We'll fix things, together. But from now on we talk. We choose things together. No more decisions behind my back. She nodded quickly, grateful. I promise. He walked toward the hallway. Then he paused and looked back at her. And Claire? Yes? You don't need to fix my life. Just be part of it. Her smile was small but real, something fragile, something hopeful. Daniel stepped into the new room, feeling a shift inside him. Not peace yet, but clarity. Revenge had tempted him, but choosing not to take it felt like lifting a weight off his chest. It didn't erase the hurt, but it opened the door to healing. He understood something now. Revenge might feel powerful in the moment, but forgiveness, real, fragile forgiveness, held a different kind of strength. A strength he wanted to choose.